All right. I think we are live, right? Are we live? Are we live? I hope we're live.
I am checking right now,
Are
and
we,
we are
oh,
live. I just got the
we're live.
notification.
Okay. All right. We are live. I still hear an echo though on your side.
Oh, that was
Um,
me. I was checking the live, and I had forgot
okay.
to turn down the volume. But we're good. I can
All
see
right.
us.
Well,
Hello, us.
yeah. How was vacation?
It was tiring, but it was worth it. I saw my gremlin smile a lot, so that was good.
Uh, Greetings, Stephen. Greeting, Michael. Greetings, Jaden. Welcome to Action April here on the Midnight Society. And it's sort of funny is like I actually covered a thriller film yesterday. I reviewed a thriller film yesterday. Speaking of action, I was thinking, I feel like watching some action. So I picked up this movie, and I picked up this one. It's called Getaway, and on the surface, it looks pretty good. Good cover, good cover. Has Scout Taylor Compton in it. I'm thinking, all right, hell yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Thinking, okay, here it is, Action April. Um, I wanted to go In Search Of. Remember that old TV show In Search Of with
yeah, yeah.
Leonard Nimoy? After watching this, I felt like I watched the episode of In Search Of because I was in search of action. I was in search of suspense. I was in search of thrills. Basically I was in search of everything this movie said it was, but it wasn't. Um,
It
Very,
happens.
yeah, yeah. It really surprised me though. It really surprised me because I always associate Scout Taylor Compton with a little bit more refined scripts. A little bit more refined.
Yeah.
Um, I think this might have been these folks' first time out as far as writing and directing. Um, so I mean, I'm not going to crush their nuts over it. I will say that it was not a very good movie though, and I was a little disappointed in it. Uh, but yeah, but
Do you happen to know? Do you happen to know if that's a remake? Because if memory serves me right, there was a Steve McQueen movie called
oh no,
Getaway.
yeah, they did remake that, but this is totally different.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Then they made
there's
one
no
with Selena Gomez, didn't they? Also
right, yeah,
Getaway.
Getaway, yeah, and that didn't fare much better than this movie did. And when it came down to reviews, it was like it was not very well reviewed. So I was just something else. It was um, I was just a little surprised about it. Then I got the feeling after watching it, I got a feeling that it was more like a favor that Scott Taylor Compton did that came over and helped out their friends, which is a cool thing because you see a lot of established actors. Um, they do get that a lot. Actually, they get asked a lot to come help out their friends. Hey, can you come in for do a day of shooting? Can you come in for a day? As a favor. It's
Kevin
a little,
Kevin Smith would do that all the time back in the day. He would get all his
yeah.
big name celebrities to, hey, come over to my movie as a favor, and they'd have to do it.
You know what? It is. Honestly, it's like I can understand that when you're first starting out. When you're first starting out in your career and you're making your first couple of movies here and there, coming out. Can you do me a favor? I need someone to come in and you know. But I think the bigger your name gets, I think it should become less that you ask them for favors. You know, I do believe that you should pay these people. I do believe that you should pay it. Look, they have two rates, right? I think SAG actors have two rates based
Yeah,
on the budget, not more. If your movie's a certain budget, you can cast an actor and pay them like let's say their normal fee is like $10,000 a day. But if it's a $1 million movie, but if let's say it's a $500,000 movie, you can go in there and do a rate of say like $3,000 a day. Okay, so your rate is that way the people can make their movie without busting their bank and being able to afford you. So
yeah,
there's a lot of actors that have that two level pay tier, and I just think when you sit there and you go beyond that, and you sit there and say, "Yeah, well, you want to come over and do me a favor? it's not even like, can you come over and do this on your on the less rate? It's about coming over and do me a favor. It's like, okay, the thing about that is like if this is a theater play or this is a concert, it's a one time thing, right? It happens. But to get over there and you do this, you're a part of the movie forever, and you didn't get paid for it. You didn't get compensated for it. I don't
Yeah,
know. I just find that a little bit, especially for someone who has a name like Scout does. I just find it, pay the lady. She's earned it. She's earned it. Um,
yeah. It could also be one of those situations where the actor just really, really likes the scripts or the project, and they're like, "I'm willing to take a pay cut because this sounds interesting. It's
sure.
not my traditional fare. I'll do it for on the cheap." And sometimes it works, sometimes it don't.
Yeah, exactly. I'll do it sometimes on the cheap. I'll do it for the lesser of the rate of my rate. Okay, that's awesome. I mean, one, they're going to come and help you out on your project, and two, you're going to feel pretty good about it because now you're paying them something. You're paying them for their time.
Yep.
And especially if it's someone like here you go, here you are, you're in North Carolina, you're making a movie, and you come out to scout and you sit there and say, hey, can you fly out to come do me a favor? So it's not just like, okay, yeah, sure. You're talking like she has to set up her schedule. That one day of shooting, it's not just one day. You have to set up everything else around it. You have to get a ticket for your plane. You have to get the time off. You have to make arrangements for someone to watch your house because you're not going to be just flying in there, dropping a scene and flying back out. You're not going to be
Yeah,
there for a
yeah.
couple of days. Like
Especially
this.
with how things are now with traveling, and you have to do all these health procedures and everything.
And the fact is that there's no longer, it used to be you could just get on a plane and go anywhere you want to, but that's not true now. That's one thing the pandemic is still affecting us big time. It's flying.
Yeah,
There's not enough staff. I mean, there truly are not enough pilots to fly everywhere that the airlines want to go to, or as many flights as they want to go to. And then they cancel a lot of flights for different reasons, plane staffing. You got to have a certain amount of crew on there. It's like, well, you got a pilot, yeah, but we need a co-pilot. We need an engineer, a flight engineer, or whatever. It's never that easy. Um, yeah, I think most planes fly with a crew of three, two
yeah,
active of one and one reserve.
yep, yep.
Um, so um, so it's not that easy, and especially short notice too, because a lot of the times you hear about these stories, it's always short notice. It's not like I planned to shoot out. I had my cast, crew, locations, everything else. But then something happens. Oh, what are we gonna do? Well, call. Let's call Scout. Uh, okay. Well, that's last minute. You're asking her to come in at the last minute to save your bacon. Um, and it's not that easy. It's not. It just isn't just as simple as, okay, I'm going to fly in a plane, fly over there across country, do this show, do this scene, do this movie, stay here 3 or 4 days, and jump on a plane and go back home. And it's just for one day of doing somebody a favor. It
Yeah,
takes a
yeah,
lot of money. Favors cost money. That's really the basic thing, right? Thank you, Hobbs. Yeah. So I don't know. I just got that impression by watching this movie, like Getaway. I got the impression that Scout did them a favor. Um, so, but yeah, she's pretty cute.
yeah.
But but that's not the case for our movie tonight. We have a movie. We're gonna be doing the second one too, down the
Oh
line.
yeah,
Oh yeah, we are.
oh yeah.
Um, the first movie we're going to talk about today is 2015's Wolf Warrior. So when I suggested Action April, I could sense that when I said, yeah, we're going to cover Wolf Warrior, I could sense everybody going like, what? Had you heard of Wolf Warrior before I mentioned it?
No, I mean, I saw on a couple of Dollar Trees the second one, and when you mentioned the first one, I'm like, oh yeah, I think I have that. But I looked at my library and I don't. I have the second one. But I've never seen the first one. It sounded interesting. I saw the trailer online. I'm like, wait, how come I've not come across this before? So, and after watching it, I kind of regret not having checking it out before.
I got my copy. I got my copy at Family Video. Me and Hobbs are taking off our hats.
It
Uh,
was a good
uh,
place to go.
oh, Family Video. That's our jam. That was our jam. That was our jam. That was our video store. And good Lord, I found so many blind buys there. Oh my gosh, my eyes were opened. Like there's so much fun going there and discovering stuff, new stuff. And the thing that really got me is it was put out by Wellgo USA. That's what really caught my eye. And Wu Jing and Scott Adkins were right there too on the cover. But I knew Wellgo USA put it out there, so I knew it was quality. Wellgo
Yeah,
USA
yeah,
puts some seriously good shit. Definitely one of my favorite studios when I go looking for. If I see Wellgo USA, I pretty much will generally pretty much buy what they're offering. They do really great movies. A lot of Korean films, a lot of and Chinese films, and Taiwanese. J Core, J Horror, and some American ones as well. Um, so that's where I picked up Wolf Warrior. I knew nothing about it. I knew Wu Jing because I had watched Killzone, and I saw him in
yes,
that infamous fight with Donnie Yen.
yes,
Uh,
yes. We talked about that one.
Fantastic scene. So I knew the name. So when I saw the name on Wolf Warrior, I went like, hell yes. So I went and I watched it, and I was blown away. Blown away. Um, yeah, I was amazed. I thought it
Yeah,
was
it really is a good movie. It has some amazing gun shooting scenes, which is always something I enjoy. Has some good martial arts. Has a lot of good action. Even has the high tech holographic special effect that's more common nowadays. And even that looked very well made. So a lot
now
of work and effort went into this thing.
this movie looks like $100 million, quite
Oh yeah.
honestly. I mean, they did not spare. This movie was actually made in mainland China, and that's something that was really different. It's not Singapore, it's not Hong Kong, it's not Taiwan. This was made in this was made in mainland China, and they had the cooperation of the army. They actually featured jet fighters, helicopters, and tanks. Up to 32 different tanks, 3 or 4 types of helicopters. Just an amazing amount of equipment.
Yeah,
Hey, Star Wars, how are you?
it looks like the Chinese equivalent of a Michael Bay movie. You know how Michael Bay likes to really pump a lot of military support and has all the legit guns and tanks and airplanes and the stuff. And this one looks like it's the same thing. Nothing looked low budget. Nothing looked cheap. Not like back in the day where they would grab a car and kind of like spray paint it to look like a military car. This
Right.
looked legit.
Yeah, it's not one of those asylum movies where they put a cover out there with tanks and helicopters and planes, and then you get the movie and you get a Studebaker and a light plane, for the yeah, that's it's not anything like that. It's this one here spared no expense. Um the
I
high
only have
tech
I will get to it. There's only one scene that had some special effects that look kind of dodgy, but we'll get to my thoughts on
right,
that.
yeah. Yeah. But even then, yeah, I agree with you on the scene, and we will talk about that. But it worked. It actually
Yeah, yeah.
worked. You were vested in the movie by then, and you know what? You knew what it was, and but it worked. It was still hella cool.
No,
And I enjoyed that. Before we get into the movie, we should talk a little bit about this one a little bit because this movie is just another one in a long line of films that we could consider propaganda films, and everybody does it. Um, Propaganda, if you basically watched any movie from World War II during the years of 1938 to 1945, or then from 1950 to 1953. You always had propaganda films. I think
Yeah,
probably the only war that we never really had propaganda films for was probably the Vietnam War. Every
yeah,
Just about every movie about the Vietnam War has pretty much always been like, is a fucked up place to be. Um,
yeah,
Whereas World War I, World War II, oh Lord, everybody did it. Germany did it. Japan did it. Um, Great Britain did it. France did it. We did it. Uh, Still doing it. Um, you put out propaganda. That's for generally when a filmmaker goes out there with some assistance from basically the government. Or they say, well, the army helped them or the navy helped them. Well, that comes from the government. The government says, yeah, whatever they want, go ahead and let them use. And
yeah.
you know, you know what? I can't really harsh on propaganda films in that respect.
No,
I
because
can't.
every country does it. Like every
Sure,
country and the filmmakers and even the people that live in the country have to varying degrees, but they have a certain pride in where they live. Like in the grand old country of Mexico, there's a lot of films based on during the war that we had to fight off the Spanish, and then the war in Texas and the Californias, because we are not known for any sort of military force. I mean, at this point, we would be easily invadable. Just don't let anyone know that. So
yeah,
we don't have any like current high tech military force. So the way that they make their propaganda is by the olden days, like in those revolutionary days. That's how they showcase how great and awesome Mexico was. But everyone does it. China does it. The Americas does it. France does it. I've seen a number of French movies that do it. So it's just a
sure.
way, I guess, to express how proud they are of living within their specified country.
Uh, because we talk about a lot of people mention about anti-war films. Anti-war films are basically they're not. It's not like they're jumping up and down saying war is evil. What they're doing, anti-war films generally are showing the aftermath.
Yeah.
Instead of like well, I'll put it this way: there's a movie called Red Tails. I've talked about that movie before.
Yes, I
Now,
know more
if
of
you
that one.
watch
Yeah.
if you watch the episode Tuskegee Airmen on the History Channel, at the end of the show, where they're after talking about the Tuskegee Airmen, you'll see that the pilots are sitting there saying how when they got back home after the war was over, after laying their lives on the line, flying fighter planes, protecting bombers and everything else, how utterly depressing and discouraging it must have been to come home and then being told to walk off the boat, white soldiers here, color soldiers here.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the reality. Where then you got the propaganda, where at the end of the Red Tails, we see the planes fly over everybody in a victory roll. That's not how it was. That's not how it was. That's just pure propaganda. It's just it's that was just everybody comes out of the theater going like America, and the reality of it was no, it wasn't for them. They put their lives on the line. They braved so much. They had to overcome. The dogfights episode talks about that. Had to overcome. Had to fight. They had to fight two wars on. They had to fight wars on two fronts: the Germans and us.
Yeah.
So you got propaganda films. You got anti-war films. And but like we all do it, like we did it this year. We got Top Gun Maverick. Um, so you know, we still churn them out. Any movie that comes out with has a war on there, and they're basically hyping it up. It's old. It's been around almost since the days of the first talking film, and that is war films, propaganda films, war films. 1927 Wings, one of the most infamous, one of the most not infamous, one of the most famous silent films about fighter pilots. So the reason why we mentioned that is because we're going to get into Wolf Warrior right now, and then we'll come back and talk a little bit more about it after the movie.
I just wanted to give you before we do so one quick question because I don't
Yeah.
I watch a lot of movies, but I don't really follow the I don't know the social media side of movies. But did Scott Adkins get canceled because it's been a while since I've seen him watching this movie, and I'm like,
No, not at all.
he's awesome. What happened to him?
Actually, Scott Adkins has a big role in John Wick 4.
Oh, I haven't seen that one yet.
Yep. But here's the thing about that. I think I have a feeling I know why he did the role this way. So he plays a character called Killa, and when you see him in the role, you would never know him unless you knew unless you read about it. I mean, Scott Atkins is in the movie. Scott Atkins is in the movie, but you will not recognize him, unless you know. Um, his character is they basically gave him a fat suit. Give him a fat suit. He looks like a fat man. Uh, sort of think of like a Sammo Hung, with a British style. Uh,
Okay.
so they had Donnie and Ari in the movie. I think the reason why they put him in a fat suit was because they already had Donnie in, and I don't think they could put him on regularly because you basically have two world class martial artists, and
Uh-huh.
I love Keanu Reeves, but they had to make Donnie Yen blind to make it even. To make it even. Donnie Yen's walking. If Donnie Yen's walking through the door, uh, you know, to fight John Wick. I love Keanu Reeves. I love John Wick, but there's not for a second I'm believing that he's going to be able to beat Donnie Yen. There's just no way. It's this. So they had to make him blind. And it's not
Yeah.
the first time. It's not the first time they had to. They had made his character. They made his character deaf in Blade 2, mute.
Yep.
They
Yep.
made him. So I think the reason why they put Scott Atkins as in a fat suit was basically, I think Scott Atkins did it to draw attention to his acting
That makes
because
that makes sense.
he wants to be known as somebody you could use in acting roles because he's done everything he can in martial arts. I mean, every time he comes out in the movie, he's really hard pressed to do anything new and original. We've
Yeah.
seen all his bag of tricks, and he wants to be an actor. He wants to be able to sink his teeth into it and act. And he has done one movie that I know of, or two movies that he did that he really didn't show any. He didn't really do any martial arts at all. He did a bad guy role in a movie called Home Invasion, where he didn't hardly use any martial arts at all. And then he did a really underrated movie. In fact, we should probably think about putting that on our watch list for the society. But
Okay.
he did another one with Dolph Lundgren called Legendary, and that's a
Oh,
really good.
I
That's a
think I've seen
really
that
good
one.
movie. That's a good movie.
Yeah.
I was surprised. I was surprised how good it was. I really was surprised. It was like, wow, this is cool.
Yeah, because
So
again, I was watching this movie and I was reminded how awesome Scott Adkins is because he's imposing. You can buy that this guy's a real threat. And I was like, where is this guy? Why haven't I seen him in any recent movies?
uh, let's see. Oh, no, not a werewolf movie. No, not Action April. We are talking about Wolf Warrior. There was a movie called Wolf Cop 2.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and I don't know the exact. I know Jet Li was a martial artist when he from birth. I mean, I know that he trained in martial arts. I don't know exactly. I'll be the first to admit I don't know exactly Donnie Yen's. I'm not sure if he's a true martial artist or he's a TV martial artist. A movie martial artist. I know Scott Atkins is the real deal. I know Michael J. White is the real deal. Um, but I don't know Donnie Yen's actually. Of course, Jackie Chan, him and Sammo Hung. Wu Jing is definitely a true martial artist. Chris Collins, who's in this movie as well.
Well, he has
So
to have some training because I've seen in a number of movies, and he looks on screen, he looks like a legit good martial artist.
Yeah.
Again, going back to that ending scene in Flashpoint, him kicking ass all over the place.
You don't. He trained his ass off. He trains his ass off. That Flashpoint is just. And what's really cool about that movie? I don't know if we mentioned that, but I really liked about that movie was the fact because a lot of martial artist movies, they use the same style of fighting, right? You see
Yeah,
them
yeah.
always do the same thing. And what's one thing that really jumped out about me about uh, uh, about Flashpoint was that Donnie Yen uh, did Muay Thai and he also did mixed martial arts. That
Yeah.
was different. I've never seen him do that before in any of his movies, so I really like that. Um, and I'm
So I'm
really glad
guessing
that Wu
maybe
Jing.
again someone would have to verify this, but I'm guessing maybe he started as an actor, but he got really into it and really trained and put the work, and now he seems like a legit martial artist. I think.
I think so too. I mean, I wouldn't. I wouldn't just put it this way. I wouldn't walk up to him and sit there and say, "Yeah, you're not a martial artist." You know,
Heck no,
anybody else wants to brave that, that's fine with me, but don't not me.
no,
No,
no.
no. Uh, uh, so this movie is badass, and we're gonna get into it now. Wolf Warrior from 2015, released on Wellgo USA. And you want to go ahead and you want to do the play-by-play for this one, Professor?
Sure, sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna sit here. I'm
I
gonna
watched
sit
it
here and
yesterday,
just do
so
a
it's
little
still.
trivia. I'm,
If I miss something, feel free to fill in the gas. But it does start with a very amazing operation for the Chinese army, and they're trying to raid this facility. Uh, I saw them, even though I didn't see the thing subtitled. I'm not that very good with foreign names, so you'll forgive me if I forget the names of half of these people. But they are there because they are trying to stop basically a drug bust. They encounter these people that are basically, I think, feeding drugs to other people as drug mules, and they want to stop it. But they're in this very fortified. I think they mentioned it's a very fortified place where they kept chemicals because the walls are like really thick, and it's the perfect place to hide out. But they go there. They're trying to stop everything, and it's an amazing shootout. It's it's something that I thoroughly enjoyed watching. And again, I very very surprised at how realistic it looks. Everything
really
is
good.
very well choreographed. Obviously, they didn't use live ammo or anything, but the bullets look like they hit. There's plaster falling off the walls. It looks like a legit war zone in this one scene. And we have the main actor, whose again name escapes me. And again, I saw this with subtitles. You would think I would remember them, but uh, he's a sharpshooter, and he's in his position watching all the action. And the Chinese government is mopping the floor with these drug traffickers until they cornered the main guy. And would you happen to have the name of the thug in that one?
Yes. Yeah, they're doing the raid, and it looks really good. They come in, and then the cops come in there, and it looks like it's going to be an easy bust. But the drug lord, um, Wu Ji,
Yes.
he has actually sabotaged his base, and he gets a little payback. He blows up. He's gambling. It looked like what they did was they put some charges on the outside of the wall, and
Yeah.
so not enough to knock down the wall, but enough that if you're standing there in front of it, you're going to get lit up, and that's
Yeah.
what they
And
did.
a lot of people got lit up because he's detonating the things, and the cops and the special forces there are just getting blown away. So there's people getting killed all over the place. And the boss of this drug operation gets a hostage that had already like taken the drugs, but he fortifies himself in this really thick wall. Like I don't know how they do mention how thick it is, but it's really thick. And
Yeah.
because it's a public area, I think they mentioned they didn't bring any heavy ordnance, so they can't just blow the wall away. And it's a very tense scene. They got this guy with a hostage, and it's like typical hostage situation. I need a car. I need a car. Oh, we don't have a car. Well, I'm going to start taking off you people away. And he starts shooting people. And then the sniper, the main character, uh, changes to a different vantage point, and he's like, "Well, okay," and he starts shooting the wall, and it was like, "What's going on? What's going on? That's not authorized." And the drug cartels guy, like, "Hey, man, I'm in control. You can't do that." And he takes another shot, and he starts chipping away at the wall. And I'm like, "Ha, this guy's good.
He's
This
really
guy's
good.
good."
He's Robin Hooding his shots. Did you notice that?
Yeah,
Robin Hooding means that he shoots the same spot, the same shot. Like if he's shooting, if this is his shot right here, he's putting bullets straight into that hole, not to the side, up or down. He's Robin Hooding it, which means he's shooting in the very same spot he shot before, and he that's what he's doing here. It's a badass scene.
oh, yeah, very tense. I was like at the edge of my seat watching this whole thing because again, it's filmed well, it's well choreographed, everything's intense, and the thing I appreciated that I see a lot in modern action movies is that they have a lot of shaky cam, and this
Yeah,
didn't have that much shaky cam. It felt like it was done like in a documentary style, which I was thoroughly enjoying. So the sharpshooter takes the third shot, is able to pierce the wall and headshots the main guy, blowing his brains out and saving the hostage. But of course, because he defied orders, he's sent to the brink, and
yeah,
he
yeah.
gets
This is
his
definitely
trial.
yeah, this is definitely not the U.S. right? Like he's standing there, and oh my lord, yeah, here he is. He's getting grilled because he took the shot. He
Yeah,
took the shot. Before, you see in American cop movies or whatnot, Lethal Weapon or whatnot. It's like, Murtaugh, I told you not to do that. All right, Cap, whatever. And then it's like that lovable rogue. That's not the case here. He's standing there in front of his board, and yeah, he's in deep trouble. He's in
yeah,
deep trouble.
yeah, because they're grilling him on why did you disobey orders, and he gives an honest answer. I saw
Yes,
this guy killing my friends and coworkers, and the life of one bad person against the life of all my comrades. No question, I would do it again in a heartbeat. And I'm like, that's an honest answer. Still
yes.
got him in trouble, but it's an honest answer.
Um, Yeah, he actually thought he had to he was going to be I think he sort of thought he was going to be sort of commended a little bit because at the end of the grilling, he says, am I going to be allowed to go back to my to my squad? Am I going to be allowed to go back to my troop? And they're going like, hell no, you're in Call you're in, not only is he locked up, it's solitary confinement
Yeah,
for
yeah.
shooting a drug dealer.
It
uh,
happens. We see this a lot. That it seems that criminals have more rights than the innocent people they kill. But I guess that's
well,
a
I
common thing in every country.
Yeah, I didn't see it that way. I saw it like you have to obey the rules. You have to obey the rules of engagement because if you go off the reservation like that, then you got lucky. But what happens if you would have misstepped? What happens if you would have shot the hostage?
Yeah,
Then what? You can't go back there and say I'm sorry. The rules are in place for a reason. It's not because you're protecting the drug dealers, it's that you're protecting your officers. That's really what it was for. It's like that's why we're harping on you because we're trying to protect you.
yeah, yeah,
Because by you disobeying orders and putting you and everybody else at risk, you're showing that you are more than you are more than the sum. And so I think that is what really, yes, he told the truth about what he did and why he did it, but he had to he had to obey orders. Wait till a better opportunity came before you could take your shot or whatnot. But with the hostage being there like that, I think it was I think they're just trying to send him a message saying no one's bigger than the rules, including you, even though
yeah.
even though you were right.
I can see that, but this guy does have a little bit of an attitude because he said because there's this female officer and she asks him like, how sure you were that you were going to be able to succeed? It was like, I had a 50-50. 50% sure I was going to do it. And the other 50, I didn't think about that at the moment. I was just thinking about killing this guy. So he's sent, to solitary confinement, and he's sweating and out doing a little bit of exercise and just chilling and until things clear out. And the same female commander is revealed that she's the leader of the wolf pack, I think it was called. Uh,
Wolf, yeah, yes, the wolf pack.
yeah, and she's trying to get into his head, get a little bit of more understanding, and she brings him a bottle of booze, and it's like,
Yeah.
here, drink this, and he's like, no, I'm a soldier, I'm not allowed to drink it, and she's like, oh, I'll give you permission. He's like, okay, and he starts guzzling that thing like a boss, and then
Hmm.
he asks her like, are you trying to get me drunk to tell the truth? And are you gonna tell the truth? He asks him, and he's like, again, very cocky, like, I've been drinking my whole life. My dad abandoned me at a young age. I got into some trouble. I was, hitting on women at the age of 12. So it's gonna take a lot more than this to me drunk. But I'll tell my story. And he starts telling the story of how his dad was also in the military, and some bad shit went down, and he left his mother and himself, and he had to basically grow up. So he joined the army to, I guess, follow the family tradition and
Yeah,
find purpose to his life, because he saw he was heading to a very dark path.
right. We do have to go back to one scene though, because it's foreshadows, and it's a very important scene, and it basically shows his dad, long fangs. Let's see, let's see, Linfangs. I'm probably killing the name. I'm
Yeah.
just gonna say Wu Jing. We'll just call him Wu Jing. Um,
Yep.
so so his dad joins the army, and he's in. It sounds like Vietnam. Uh,
It looks
and
like it. Yeah.
and his dad is with a squad of men, and their commander gets. You remember the scene from Full Metal Jacket? Because that's the first thing I thought of when I saw this scene. Was
Oh
there was
yeah.
a scene in Full Metal Jacket where they shot a commander. They shot one of the officers, and he's down. And then they didn't shoot him to kill; they just shot him to wound. Because what they wanted to do is they want to have people go out there to rescue him and then shoot them. So every
Yeah.
time that and so that's what they were doing. They were shooting the commander, and all these guys were coming out to try to rescue him, and they were getting shot down as well. So that was really, it's really tough to see. And his dad was there, and he's sitting there, and his commander saying, like, says, just kill me, because if you don't kill me, there's going to be more men following you that are going to try to be rescuing me, and they're going to die for that. I'm done for. So forget me, put me under, shoot me, and then save yourself. And of course, the dad lines up the commander, but he can't do it. He just can't shoot his commanding officer. And so and that breaks his dad. That breaks his dad. His dad is out of the picture pretty much after that.
Yeah.
Um, So we see that scene. As soon as I saw that, I immediately going like, okay, we're probably gonna see that again, because there's importance. It's an important scene. Hey, Mr. Bones. Uh, yes. Jackie Wu Jing. Recommend his solo movie, Legendary Assassin. It's awesome. He fights like 100 people at once. Yeah, he's a badass. He's a total badass.
Oh, Mr. Bones has an amazing martial arts collection. I was watching one of his older videos when he shared his collection, and my goodness, he has a lot of amazing titles. So if
No,
Mr. Bones recommends that movie, I'm going to have to hunt it down.
I
Or
would
I'm,
trust him too. I
I don't
sort
know.
of see Mr. Bones more as a martial arts channel than I do a horror channel.
Yeah, he showcased a lot of good ones, but I'll have to write that down.
Yeah,
What was it? Legendary Assassin.
Legendary Assassin.
Yeah,
There's a
I'm gonna
lot.
have.
He's done a lot of movies. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, Bones got the shit. His collection is tight.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he's got everything. He's sort of like he's got his fingers in absolutely everything. Um, and Kevin's asking now if he fights 100 people at once as a solo movie. Yeah, it means he doesn't have Jackie Chan fighting on his side, and he doesn't have Jackie Chan backing him up. Uh, uh, I love your martial arts movies. I need to probably go back. I'm sure you have doubled your collection since that first video, though. I'm sure he has. You know what though? I look for martial arts movies. You know, when
Yeah,
I go out there, I do Bones. I look for martial arts movies whenever I can find them.
same here.
I love the genre. I do.
I mean,
I absolutely love it.
my main no matter what, if he's in the cover, even if I take unfortunately the surprise that's only in it for like a scene, but whenever I come across anything with Jackie Chan, I'm picking it up. But Jet Li,
Yeah,
Donnie Yen, Sammo Ho, basically anything that might look martial arts, I'm gonna pick it up because there it's a fun genre, and it's a very
it is.
diverse genre, so it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'll pick up anything with martial arts, even the American stuff. You know,
Yeah.
even the Americans. I mean, because one of the funniest thing I've ever seen, was that short run TV show called The Master with Lee Van Cleef.
Oh yeah,
Man,
yeah,
it
yeah.
has me in tears, man. Every time I watch that, I'm in tears. But you know what? If I can find it, if I can find a copy of it, I get it.
Yeah, I've been trying to get the old Kung Fu series with David Carradine, but I
I
haven't been
got
able to come across that.
I found a series. I found a season. I found a season at the library. Hey, Casey. Speaking of fight eaters, Casey just reviewed his third Zone Fighter review. The third part of it. Awesome as always. Awesome. Super cool. Uh,
Yep, yep.
okay, so we see him in the and the commander gets him plowed, gets find out a little bit more about Wu Jing, and then it says, okay, well, we're gonna put you into the wolf pack.
Yep.
So the next day he gets helicoptered into it. Uh,
And
Holy
that
cow!
looked
I mean,
real. It didn't look like it was a dummy. It looked like the actor was really hanging on that helicopter, or if not him, a stunt double.
no, I believe that was him. I believe that was Wu Jing. He did not only did he write this movie, he directed it and he did the
Uh-huh.
choreography. So I totally believe that was him in it. So they chopper him over to the base of the Wolf Warriors, and we find out what the Wolf Pack does is they are the elite of the elite. They're sort of like the Chinese version of Delta Force,
Yeah.
or Navy SEALs. I'm sorry, Navy SEALs. They train everybody else. Everybody else goes to them to train, and they practice. They practice being the hostile force, and they train the Chinese other troops to fight them. Because somebody's got to train the regular army, and so this is what these guys are. They're the elite of the elite. They're SEALs. So he gets dropped down on top of the little big old. It looked like a missile silo almost. That landing pad sort of looked like a missile silo, and
Yeah.
that's their
Yeah.
head. He gets dropped there, and he sits, and he's sitting. He's waiting for someone to come get them.
I
Uh,
haven't mentioned
hey,
this. I really like the logo they had for the squad. It's like the wolf's head with the shield and a knife or a sword. I want a shirt with that logo. That looked amazing.
yeah, I would love to have that too. That was pretty badass. Hey, I want to say hi to our good friend Dave is in the house here.
Hey, Dave.
All right. Genome presents.
I'm looking at the chat, and the chat's on fire. A lot of people are commenting, so thank you so much for that, guys.
Yeah, we're up to 8 people. Thank you so much. 8 people in and 13 likes. That's
Have you
awesome.
noticed that they put in an emoji reaction on the live streams? You can send a heart or a happy face or a 100. I've been noticing that in a couple of streams, but I don't know if it does anything.
I don't know either. I haven't seen that yet. Uh,
Well, YouTube being YouTube, I guess.
yeah, yeah. I don't know. I'm just glad to see people come on. People are here for our show tonight. That's all. That's for sure. Yeah, there's Casey 100%.
Oh, there you go.
Um, so
So yeah,
it's
and
funny.
again, the attitude on this guy because he's new. He's a rookie. Basically, he's a rookie. He's being
Hmm.
thrown into this squad that's, they know each other, they've interacted with each other, they're familiar with each other. He's the new guy, and he still cops an attitude with his commanding officer.
Um, it's the Night Fright talk show says I've been trying to put all the news in my head, and I came to a conclusion. I feel like we all have broken the Ten Commandments, and that when the button is finally pushed, the UFOs will come. They're probably right. You got that feeling from the Twilight episode where all the aliens came down there and they gave Dingle all his powers, or Frisbee. They gave the Frisbee all their different powers. Here you can read my mind, or you can be super strong, or whatever. Yeah, you get the feeling that the UFOs are sitting there just going like, I would actually fly down there to Earth, but have you been there lately? It's crazy. Uh,
Yeah, there's this scene again. I'm throwing us completely off topic, but it's a scene that from a kids movie that really got to me. That have you seen? Are you familiar with the Spy Kids movie?
yes.
Well, there's in the second one, Joe Buscemi says, like, do you think the reason that God doesn't come down to Earth is because he's seen what he's created? And that quote always stuck with me.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like when he came down the first time to wipe us all out, with the flood. It was almost like, okay, I could do this because there's like probably less than 1 million people on the planet, and I can get away with it. But now you come down again, you go like, man, I don't, I'm powerful, but I'm not so sure I have enough power to do that. I mean, I could work miracles, but can I fix that planet? He's probably going like, yeah, he's probably going like, oh my God, I'm afraid of anybody inside the gates.
Yeah, I know.
Um,
We've lost our way. But anyway, back to Wolf Warrior.
back to our way. So it was cool. I love how they introduced him to his team.
Yeah,
He's sitting there, and then next thing you know, we just see a armada of trucks, jeeps, tanks, helicopters, and they all roll up to him, and he's pretty badass. He's standing right there watching them, and he doesn't flinch at all when a tank comes up within 6 inches of his face. He's looking
yeah,
straight down the turret. And there's like it's like this whole it's like a division was there, and all around him, and he'd been sitting there for hours. For hours he'd been sitting there, and yet outside around him for hours, his troop had been sitting there watching him all along, and they suddenly just come out, stand up. I mean, they've been there for just as long as he has, if not longer. And so he's like, you think you're badass sitting there patiently waiting for us? Well, we've been waiting for you for longer than you've been here. So I thought that was really cool. It established how strong the unit was.
yeah,
It did. And the commander comes down there, and he immediately does not like him. Wu Jing. He does not like Wu Jing right off. He says, "I don't like you." Uh, I think it was because of his attitude. His attitude was cocky.
yeah. I'm
You
very
know,
cocky.
it's like I can't teach you anything. You can't teach me anything. And whereas that's not the case. Um, that they're gonna he's gonna have to he has a lot to learn. He's good, but he's
Yeah,
not that good. Um,
yeah. And he said it. He may not follow the rules, but his first priority is his comrades. That's why he was trying to take out the drug dealer, because he was seeing him take out his friends. So he's like,
right.
he does have a sense of loyalty. It's just that he bends the rules a little bit to get the mission done.
It's a hard thing to see, because like you see that in a lot of films. You see that you'll see a buddy get shot or hurt or whatever, and immediately you see the other men rally around them. Like Joe got shot. Let's go get him, or he's we got to go rescue Joe because he's trapped or whatever. You always see that sort of camaraderie, but at the same time, it's like you see what happens in Full Metal Jacket. They shot the commander and they just sat there and just waited. They knew that compassion would get more men killed.
Yeah,
The compassion kills in wartime. When you're running, you don't have time to stop necessarily to run back there to the buddy you see killed. You have to keep moving forward, and otherwise more people are going to die. And that's one thing he had to learn. He
Yeah,
had to learn.
especially in China, because again, my only knowledge of China is what I see from the movies. But from what little I've seen, it's a country that respects the rules a lot. And if you don't follow the rules, well, you're gonna get messed up, or they're gonna make you disappear. So it's an interesting dynamic to see how the gun ho, I can do it, individual soldier has to deal with the extremes of that culture.
He has to learn to become a teammate. That's the thing.
Yeah.
He has to become a good teammate. So he just meets some of the guys, and and they say, we'll see how good you really are. And so what they're doing is they're doing a team exercise. So they're doing a team exercise where there's a blue team and a red team, and they're on the blue team. They're the blue team. So
Yep.
what they're
Yep.
trying to do is they're trying to take out the red team. And so you see the woman commander of of Wolf Warriors, Wolf Pack. She's on one side, and then the other generals on the other side.
Yeah, and
And
it was Wu Jing's previous officer. They mentioned that the
right,
division that he was part of originally is the opposing team to the Wolf Pack. So it also has
right.
that interesting dynamic that oh, I'm gonna get you back for what you did to me. But I did. It's not one of those things, but it's a cliche that I see a lot in these kind of movies. That you have this one soldier that has a picture of one of their kids, and you kind of immediately know what's going to happen to them.
Yeah, yeah. It's almost like a red shirt. It's almost like as soon as you see the red shirt, you immediately go like, okay, yeah, he's toast, right? And that's
I
just like
saw.
the kid. It's like having in a horror film. Oh, she showed her breasts. Oh yeah, she's doomed.
Oh, yeah,
Or
he's
or
dead.
there's the guy going outside. Be right back. You just know that he's not coming back. Yeah,
The poor guy.
that was. Uh, yeah, it's manipulative. It's part of the genres, the subgenres. That's one of the rules. It's like you got to have heart tugs. That's why you have the music and the people saluting and all that. It's like get your blood all stirred up. Um, So yeah. Um,
Yeah, I
so
was I
they're
was
on
half.
their
I'm not gonna lie. I was half expecting the overly religious guy to make an appearance, like we will succeed because of our whatever. But
but they
no,
yeah,
it was
they're
just
atheists. They're atheists.
yeah. So it was just the guy with the picture of his kid that you see that and I'm like, well, we know what's
Yeah.
gonna happen to you.
He definitely did. When you saw that, you were like, "Yeah, that's not a good thing." But then we flash back though. We got to go back because while this is all happening, the bad guys are not. They're not sleeping. The bad guys are. Well, we're seeing the bad guys, and
Yeah.
so the Chinese police are once again. They got the one drug dealer's brother's dead, but now they're after the other one. So
The
they
older
said,
brother.
yes, they go after the older brother, and they go after him, and it looks to be here they come. They're not fooling around this time. You know what, Ming Ding, I think his name was. Dude, you had to give him credit. That guy, he was written so cool.
Yeah.
His scene right here is so. I have to admit, it's not the most realistic scene, but it's definitely a badass scene. Um, so they
And he's
go
able
ahead
to
and
he's able to
huh?
pull off the badass look without really saying anything. I don't think he
No,
said
no,
that
not
much
at
in the
all.
whole movie.
So they go ahead and arrest him. You're coming with us. And they go outside and there's like 15 cop cars out there, whatnot. And but then all of a sudden, out of the blue, we see Scott Adkins and his crew. Uh, some are on a boat, some are on in the woods, and the bad guy, the Bing Ding, he just stands there, and he breaks out a cigar, and he stands there, and he breaks out the cigar and lights it, and he doesn't move.
Yeah.
And here comes Scott Adkins and his crew, and they're coming in, guns blazing, and they're taking care of business. They're wiping out pretty much every cop that was there. Uh,
And
high
it
powered.
gets gory. Like there was the main bald cop gets his arm blown off, and then he gets riddled
Yeah,
with bullets. I'm like, whoa,
dude, that was a scene from the Jackal. Remember the Jackal with Bruce Willis?
yeah,
He
yeah,
had Jack Black stand there. I was like, that's when I first saw that. I'm like, oh shit, okay, I've seen that before. Yeah, he hit him with a 50 caliber bullet. From I mean, he just blew off his whole. Yeah, he was dead. They had
yeah,
the same sort of scene in Shooter too with Mark Wahlberg, where the guy got his arm shot off. Uh, so yeah, they shot the inspector's arm off. You know, he was dead or dying. And then they come over there and they wipe out all the cops. I mean, they wipe them all out. There's nobody's left. And the guy's just standing there. He's not trying to move. He's not, not at all. He's just standing there. The bad guy,
old as ice.
cold as ice. The cars are all blowing up around him and everything else. He's just standing there smoking a cigar. And then at the very end, Chris Collins is there and he has a Gatling gun.
Uh-huh.
Um, so and then he gives it to the boss, and the boss he wipes out he wipes out the inspector with a Gatling gun.
Yeah, just blows him away. And
Yeah,
he also, this is when it's revealed that he puts a hit on Jing, the guy that killed his brother. And I have to say, the balls on this guy to take on the Chinese army just for revenge. I mean, there's something else happening later on, but like, what is this guy thinking? And he can single handedly, does he have that much confidence in Scott Adkins that he can take
well,
out
you
the
know what though?
freaking Chinese army?
But it made sense though, because think about it. See, they like Scott Atkins. His and his character's name is great. Scott Atkins' character name is funny as hell too. His nickname is in the movie. He's known as Tomcat.
Yeah,
That's his
yeah.
name, Tomcat. So Tomcat he comes out there and says, "Well, we found our target," and he's in the middle of the army. But the fact of the matter is, the reason why he felt confident was the simple fact that the army was out there, but they're training, and they're not going to be using any live ammo.
True.
That's why he felt so confident. Now, if you would have told him like, yeah, you have to face down a battalion of 250 men, and they're all live fire, they're not going to go into that. They're not going to do that.
Yeah, they paid Tomcat as this really hardcore badass mercenary. He's never failed a mission. He's like the Steven Seagal of this movie. He's the best of the best of the best. And if you want something dead, you get Tomcat.
Did you say Steven Seagal?
Well, you know how in every Steven Seagal movie, Steven Seagal is like the best of the best of the best.
Oh my
Like
God!
in
Oh yes!
Under
Yes.
Siege,
Oh
he's a
Lord!
cook, but he's
Oh,
like super elite SEAL.
oh God! Yeah, dude, the cheesiest line ever in any Steven Seagal movie was on Deadly Ground.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
my God! The best acting that Gunny Ermey ever did, Lee R. Ermey ever did, the best acting he ever did in his whole career was when he sat there and he was telling everybody how badass Steven Seagal was.
Yeah.
You're talking like a real true hero, a gunny sergeant who's actually seen combat, and he's sitting there saying, "Yeah, this guy, he's the best. He's awesome. The sun doesn't rise without him saying so. It's like Chuck Norris goes to him when for Chuck Norris's,
Yeah.
for Chuck Norris sayings, he goes to him for that. Yeah, Steven Seagal. Yeah, but Tomcat is a badass. He is a badass, and he's got
And
confidence in his team.
Scott Adkins plays it again. That's why I was mentioning like why doesn't he do more stuff? Because in this movie, you buy that he's a legit threat. He looks imposing, and he's got the little beard, and he's got the build, and you can buy that he really is an elite assassin. And I wish he
Yeah,
would get more work.
yeah, I do too. It's really frustrating to see actors like Scott Adkins and Michael J. White. They get stuck in the same old movies. They flip it around a little bit. And they flip it around like they do put out great movies. Like Accident Man was awesome. Avengement was really good. Um, what was that? What was the one Michael J. White did with Bone and oh gosh, what was Bone and
I
huh?
if you say Michael J. White, I immediately think of Black Dynamite. That's my go-to Michael J. White movie.
Thank you, Casey. Yeah, he mentioned Blood and Bone, right? He was a
Blood and
badass
Bone.
in Blood and Bone, right? I mean, you think about those great movies, Triple Threat, any type of movie like that, and you're right. You wish that they would just get better roles. Michael J. White can act. He can actually do drama if he had to, but no one gives him a chance. No one.
Yeah.
I mean, look. He was in The Dark Knight. He
Yes, he
played a
was.
gangbanger. Yeah, he played a gang. So why not let him come out there and do some more stuff like that? You're right. Um, let's see. Let's see. I saw one movie where Steven Seagal found a bunch of guys, fought a bunch of guys while sitting his ass in a chair. Yeah, that's probably right. Yeah, that's probably right. Now, if you
Was it
really want,
Seagal or one of his many body doubles? Because I've seen a whole bunch of movies where Seagal is only his face is in light, and he uses like 20 different body doubles because the
oh
guy
my
can't move
god,
anymore.
dude, there's nothing more funny to see a Steven Seagal movie now where they have to film it from the back because he can't show because they have to hide the stunt man. Um,
Yeah,
the one thing I found about Steven Seagal movies too, if you really go back and look at all his movies, I mean, with the open mind, dude, look at all the people that he fights. They're at least like 100 pounds less than he was. I mean, even when he was in his peak, every guy he fought was like small,
yeah,
small. I mean, they're not big at all. They're small men. Very rarely did you ever, I mean, and oh, it's just, yeah.
yeah. Steven Seagal was always the lower end of the action stars. It was Stallone, Schwarzenegger, Van Damme, Bruce Willis.
I mean, he
Uh,
had his moments. I mean, he had his moments. I'll give him that. I mean, Alfred Justice is pretty badass. Um, but man, the one that got me that this had me just like punching out of the plane was that on deadly ground. That I was
yeah,
after hearing that. I saw Ermy out there giving that speech. I'm like, yeah, I'm out.
yeah. No, after Under Siege, I stopped liking Seagal movies. Under Siege was the last good Seagal movie I saw.
I did like Under Siege 2 though. I did like Under Siege 2. I thought Under Siege 2 was pretty badass. I will say that. I liked the Under Siege and Under Siege 2. I thought both those movies were pretty badass. I will have to give that. But after that, I think they came out then on Deadly Ground. I think on Deadly Ground came out after those two, and that's when Ermy's sitting there going like, "Yeah, this guy's so badass. He can wipe my ass, and I wouldn't even feel it. And
Yeah, and
it's just like, I'm sorry, but you're making Lee Ermy say that to you. I just no, just can't.
yeah, and I
Uh,
might be wrong, but at that point, Seagal's ego was bigger than anything in the world. So
look who's here. It's our good friend the Bat.
hey,
The his bat wings were tingling with Steven
yeah,
Seagal.
we mentioned
Well,
Seagal, and
if that's
we invoked the bat.
well, if that's the case, I can't even imagine what his wings were tingling when he saw that Gareth and Bossman are going to be covering Point Break. I can't even imagine what that was. Um, so we see that the Tom Atkins is going to be sending his squad out into the into the. We better get on this track here. We're going to lose our crowd here. Um, so we're going to get back into the forest.
Yes,
Scott Atkins and his crew invade this forest. They're going to start looking for. Wu Jing, and meanwhile they're having a war game where the blue team is fighting the red team. And the thing is that both commanders know each other pretty damn well. They know each other pretty well, so they know a lot of the same tricks that the other side uses. So while they're counteracting everybody else, the Wolf Warrior crew, they get dropped in at 300 feet. That was crazy. That was
yeah,
crazy. 300 feet, the parachute in. So they land, and they decide, like, we're going to go ahead and attack. We see where the enemy force is at, and if they see first, they see one force, and they go like, yeah, that looks like a trap. And so we're gonna bypass that. We're gonna go to this one over here. That's gonna be the real. That's gonna be where the real force, the blue team is, and because the wolf guys are the red team, so the blue team, is over here. So this is where it's gonna be at. We'll hit them here, and of course Wu Jing's sitting there going like, I think they already know that. I think they've already known that. I think they know that you suspect that's the real base. So
Yeah,
it's
for a moment, I thought it was going to turn into a comedy routine. They know that we know that we know that they know that we know that they know that we know.
right. And and he's trying to tell him like, let's investigate it, very lightly.
Yeah,
Let's do a slight probe attack before you commit your force, because if it's an ambush, you're going to get wiped out. And of course, the commander, he thinks he knows better, and he does his own cardinal. He breaks his own rule, is that he doesn't really listen to everybody's ideas. He's already headstrong, and the fact of the matter is that he's already used to it. He's
yeah,
already he's used to he's sort of like used to it. Like there's a scene in Heartbreak Ridge where where Clint Eastwood's his platoon, they're always being killed by the other platoon. No matter what they do, they're being asked to do the same thing over and over and over. We go out there, we set up, we die, and Clint Eastwood's like, well, not on my watch. Fuck that. We're gonna improvise.
yeah,
You
yeah.
gotta you gotta improvise and adapt. So you can't do the same thing over and over and over, because you don't get any better. So and Wu Jing is actually telling him this, like they will know that you're coming. They expect you to come. That's why they
Yeah.
did what they did. And
And
he says,
and he says that he worked with the commanding officer. He was part of their team. He knows how they think, and this looks like a trap, but the guy won't listen.
he doesn't listen, and he says, well, you guys here, three guys, you guys stay back here, out of here in the perimeter. You guys stay out here, and we'll go in. So that's what happens. They go down there and they lead this team down there. And initially, it looks good. It looks good. The attack goes through initially, but it's an ambush. It is
Yeah,
an ambush, and they walk right into it. And so
and that part of the wolf pack gets decimated.
wiped out. Yeah, wiped out except for two men. So the whole team, the whole battalion, about maybe about 120 men get killed, basically, in this. So only the commander and one other troop comes back. So there's five left. There's five of them left, and so they have to keep doing the exercise with five men. And so this is the part where the one part you're mentioning. Um, so they go ahead and they take off. They go ahead and take off because they still have to find the real base. They have to find the real base. So they leave, and as they're tracking, as they're going toward what they think is the new base, uh, they get attacked by wolves. Um, the
I
wolf,
didn't
the
know.
wolf
I
warriors,
didn't
the
know
wolf
wolves were
warriors
still a thing in China. I thought all their wolves were wiped out.
I don't know. That's a really good question. I always wondered about that. I'm always wondering, like, on like countries like Taiwan and Japan, do they even have any wild animals left on their islands?
I wouldn't think so. I
I
mean,
wouldn't either.
they have the panda, but they keep that thing around because it's a tourist attraction. But everything else, I would assume what got killed off years ago.
The bat mentioning the NWO wolf pack, so we'll have to give out a woo. We'll have to give out a Ric Flair woo for the bat. Um,
NWO for life.
uh, a trivia question: how many factions of the wolf pack were there? No,
Uh,
don't answer that. So they go ahead and they get out, and they, the wolves attack them in mass, and the men have now while they're doing this war game, there is a very vital key component that people forget, or they have to remember. It is a war game. They have no live ammunition.
yep.
The only thing they have is flares. That's all they have. They have flares.
And
Um,
that,
and that's so they have their rifles. They have their rifles, so they put bayonets on them and they fight the wolves off. All five take on this wolf pack, and they work together as a team. And when Wu Jing kills the leader, the wolf pack leader, they all leave.
Yeah, and this is I was with this movie because it had your typical blue screen special effect hologram thing, but it still looked good. I was still with it. The shooting looks good, the action looks good, the explosions look good, and but those wolves did not look good. Those wolves looked like asylum wolves. I don't know what happened
Ooh,
there.
yeah, that's hard. Asylum wolves. Yeah, it did. Yeah, it didn't. It didn't. Yeah, it suffered. I admit it. But you know what though? The way they shot it and the fact that they shot it at night covered up a lot of mistakes.
It did help, and again, it was well choreographed. Everything in this movie is excellently choreographed. Even though they're not really fighting actual wolves, it looks like they're fighting wolves. They react as they would if they were attacked, and when they're stabbing the wolves and everything. My only gripe, because I know there's that kind of thing, is the wolves did not were not designed well, but their choreography was excellent in my opinion.
Uh, so they do they do fight off the wolves, and
Yeah,
so that's good though, right? So that's good. So but now as the now they're and they do find the main bosses, and as they're doing that, they do attack them, and Wu Jing actually shoots his former boss.
yeah,
He manages to get him, because they find the base, the five men. They go and they sabotage everybody, and then they attack with just five men, four men really, because Wu Jing was snipering.
yeah,
So when the leadership came out to evacuate, he killed his former boss, and his his former boss was pretty pissed off about that. But but it's also, it's a tribute to his skill as a sniper. He's a great sniper. Um,
yeah, yeah. He can back up. He can back up his confidence with his skills. He does legitimately have the skills to pay the bills.
Definitely, definitely. So after that, the men go ahead, and that's it. That's the training is over with, and they start breaking it down. Except that Tomcat and his mercenaries have found them, and as they're walking, they found them, and they start, and they and Wu Jing starts feeling like, he's telling the guys to hurry up. That he's starting to sense something uneasy. They're in a wooded area, and he's starting
Yeah,
to sense something uneasy, and then all of a sudden a live shot comes through,
yeah.
and
They
so
they
they're
flash
flying out.
flash
Yeah.
grenade his four teammates, and they're all blind and deaf, and that's when they start shooting for Wu Ying. Another
They
thing.
go ahead and they attack. Of course, now we see that, the guy who showed his kid earlier in the hat. His time came up.
Yeah,
Um, so yes, they ambushed him. They hit him with flash grenades, and then before they could really react, they came out there, and Scott Adkins killed his friend. He tried to hit him with flares. Um, I mean, they reacted promptly, but they have no ammunition.
yeah.
So
No.
they attack with what they have, which isn't much. But the flares were in there, and he made the guy, basically he knocked the guy down, took his flares, and put him on top of him, and it caused a explosion that killed him.
Yeah. Well, way to go.
Meanwhile, at the main headquarters, they see this on the camera. They see that they're being attacked by some force, and so they immediately call for support. Um, they call for support because they are being attacked, and uh, it's pretty. There is a pretty cool scene too. After they initially, I want to say it was. Oh, I think it was. I want to say it was before the main attack, where they were in the two cars, and the helicopter came in there and blew up the cars. Um,
I was
that was.
after this. It was
I was.
after this
It
because
was
after they kill his squad member, they take him away for
right.
burial. And then like, oh, these people, they invaded China, and we won't have none of that. So get these guys, and that's
That's
when
right.
they're chasing them on the helicopters with the two trucks.
Yeah, that's right. You're right. So they call for reinforcements, live ammunition, and so they're on their way to help him out. And then Tomcat pulls back his squad. He pulls back his squad, and they start. They're gonna try to keep drawing them. They're trying to draw Wu Jing's force after them as they're going back toward the China border. They came in the border. They attacked. Now they're going to try to withdraw from there
Yeah.
uh, to stream along. Yes, they are attacked by two helicopters. They go ahead and they damage one helicopter, but the scene that was really cool. What was really cool about that scene is they shot the helicopter, but it was with a graphite, and it caused all the particles in the air to be filled with this graphite. So no other helicopters could fly into this area because the electronics would not work.
Yeah.
And this is badass. So you always wondered about this. Like, I wonder if this is really if this really could happen. But
He would.
the Chinese commander, he orders rain. He orders rain. He says, "Get we're gonna go ahead and make it rain here. We're gonna see the clouds, make it rain, and wash down the graphite, so we can have air control again." I thought that was pretty badass.
Yeah. Yeah. And again,
Um,
there has to be some truth into all this because if they got help from the government, to the degree, I would not think that they would reveal all their military secrets on a movie, but at least to a degree, they would share some tactics here and there on how they could counteract the anti helicopter thing.
yeah, because I'm just thinking to myself, going like, man, if we could actually make rain, if we could actually could do that, then we wouldn't have any drought. It's like, okay, it's drought over here. Well, okay,
Oh,
when are we gonna see some clouds and cause it to rain?
well,
We can,
depending on who you ask, certain countries already might have that technology, but it's
mm,
not something that they announce. But we don't talk about that. Shh.
yeah. um. So you're right. The men are they get reinforced. They get their comrade, and they go ahead and they put their comrade in up there in the helicopter. Okay, so this is a Chinese movie and everything else, but good lord, did you not have your heart in your chest when did you not feel how patriotic they were, the way they acted with taking their dead comrade? I
Yeah,
thought it was amazing. I really
it
liked
was
that part of the movie.
It was well. I mean, when you saw the guy talk about his kid and show the picture, you know what was going to happen to him. But
Mhm.
how it was executed, how the patriotism, the camaraderie was played
Mhm.
out. It did make you like feel bad for the guy, like
Yeah,
and for the squad. He's like, damn, they didn't just lose a military partner; they lost a friend. They know
right.
his daughter lost a father, so it does get to you. And again, it wasn't cheesy like in a lot of
No,
movies.
not at all.
It was done well.
See, Al said that he just added this flick to his to be list. I suspect that we'll be seeing a review on this coming from the master of Tubi himself, Al Lucard. Um, hey, Katie. I'm sorry, I totally missed. I didn't see Katie come in there. Um, so they are now, but now they're armed. Now they're all the squad's armed. There's about a couple hundred men there. They're all armed up to the teeth, and
And they're pissed. They are
and they're pissed.
pissed.
And Tomcat, of course, he adds he adds gas to the fire by and during their retreat. He goes back to a rock and he says, fucking Chinese Boy Scouts on a rock. He's insulting them. He
Yeah.
wants them to come. He wants them to come in after him, hot and emotional, because then they'll be careless. And when you got 200 men versus six, you got to be clever about it. So they go ahead and they write that on the rock. Then they retreat. They're moving toward the border. They're still hoping to try to get Wu Jing, but right now they're just trying to get to the border.
And
Uh,
they take a page from the drug guy from the beginning because they put mines, they put a whole bunch of explosions and traps for these poor guys that they don't see coming as they're making their way through the forest. A lot of them get lit up.
Yeah. I It's hard to figure out how many men actually died in this. I mean, the one thing I kept on thinking was like, man, there's a lot of them getting hit. There were
Yeah,
a lot of them getting hit, but man, all the everything they were wearing, it must have blended a lot of the shrapnel or bullets or something because they were getting hit, but not until one scene do we really truly see them really like dying. Um, and that comes from that in the scene where we see the scene where they repeat, the foreshadowing of Wu Jing's dad. Uh, the company commander gets wounded, and Tomcat tells him to just wound their commander, find their leading officer, wound him, don't kill him, wound him. So that's what they do. He snipes them out, and then every man that comes after him to get him gets killed,
yeah,
or at least gets shot. I have to think they were getting killed. Um,
yeah. They look pretty dead.
yeah,
Take out as many as they can and use the guy as bait. But they
they,
look dead. I thought they got killed. So this
I
thing
do
has a
too.
large body count.
Yeah, if you really look at it this way, if you look at it just strictly like who won in terms of numbers, I would definitely say Tomcat won. Even
Yeah,
though he lost his entire force, he only has 6 men in the first place. And these guys here, they had 200, and they must have at least honestly, they must have at least lost 50. They must have
easily.
lost 50 easily, 50 dead and wounded. So it was sort of like a pyrrhic victory for the Chinese. They won, but it's not you're not going to really celebrate it because you lost too much.
Yeah,
It's the cost was too high for your win. Um, so so they do chase him down, and we see the officer get wounded, and he keeps on screaming at them, "Don't come after me!" Like he knows what's going on. He says, "Don't come after me."
yeah.
And
Just
then
make it quick. Take me out and
right,
make it quick.
and then he tells that to Wu Jing. He says, and the Wu Jing has a flash back to what his father had told him. His father had shared with him his story about what happened to him before he left. And he's sitting there and he's thinking about it. He's totally stressed. Like I'm in the same position my dad is in. 30 years ago, and now I'm being told to to kill my commander by my commander. But I thought the next scene was just absolutely badass as hell,
Yeah,
especially since he said nothing. He all of a sudden he just reacted, and the whole troop reacted with him without really being told. It was an amazing scene,
yeah, yeah,
um, to save their commander.
yeah. They start shooting
And
the trees to make them fall down and provide cover so they can get the guy out. I thought that was very cool and
that was
just
very cool.
really quick thinking. There's a lot of people don't have it. A lot of people do have that fight or flight instinct, and this guy had that fight instinct. He was just like thinking on his head and making things work.
Uh, they had enough weapons and they had enough firepower to shoot the tree in half. It falls in front of the commander, and they were able to go out there and grab him and pull him back to safety. Even though they still were still losing guys, they lost one medic, but they at least pulled him back.
Yeah,
And I'm not really sure they lost the medic because he got shot in the pack. All these guys are wearing these huge bundles too, and I'm just thinking to myself, going like, man, I don't know. I mean, were they being penetrated? I mean, the sniper, yes, but everybody else, I'm wondering, yeah, these guys have like 300 pounds on their back. I mean, they're almost like walking with huge ass bulletproof backpacks or something.
yeah,
Um, so they go ahead and they rescue the commander, and then they continue to start moving on. Tomcat and his crew are still doing a fighting retreat, and the Chinese troops just keep going forward. There's 200 of them, so even though they're getting shot up, there's so many of them. Eventually, the numbers games start catching up, and soon enough, they eliminate Tomcat's squad. They kill them all.
yeah.
Um,
And while this is going on, there's also something going on with the drug
yeah,
dealer's brother. It's revealed that he was doing a video conference call with him as the whole thing was going down. So he saw his brother die, and he goes visit the location where they were, where his brother got killed, and he does a whole ceremony. And they do give inkling that there's something, maybe a little more going on here. Like he does want revenge, but there's also something shady with him that he's trying to achieve,
Yes.
because he's also making his way to the border, and we don't find out until a little bit later what that whole thing is. But they are seeding the big climax at the end.
And we also see that Wu Jing is also, while he's hunting down Tomcat and his squad, he's also wooing his commanding officer.
I don't know.
Uh,
I'm pretty sure that would get you court-martialed.
I would you would think so, except that the general was in there going he says like he looks like he gets shot, and she's like he says, well, if I come back, will you have a drink with me? And she goes, yes. And then he asks her if she has a boyfriend, and she's hesitant to answer it. And then the general gets up there and says he wants to know if you have a boyfriend.
Yeah.
And he's doing this in front of everybody. There's like 100 men in headquarters, and they're all men and women, and they're doing this publicly.
Yeah.
And it's just like if you come back to me, we'll have a drink, and that sort of thing.
Yeah, and also,
And
uh, when he asks her about the boyfriend thing, because what leads to that is that he steps on a mine, and then
yeah,
there's this officer saying, "Oh shit, that's a 30-degree 560 caliber mine. If he takes his foot off, he's gonna blow up." And he starts digging the mine out, and he kind of like digs it away, and he's like, "Well, I can't fix it, so I'm just gonna jump off, and may God have mercy on my soul." And he
well,
survives that, and I'm like, I don't think that would work that way.
I don't think so either, except that I was actually thinking he was going to try to put a counterweight on it.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
like maybe he could take his pack or a rock or something and do the Indiana Jones thing. Like, okay, I'm gonna put a rock here, because he was right by that cliff. Like, all he had to do was just do like a shoulder roll, you know, which is what he does. He does that, but
I
but
was thinking, maybe he was digging the mine, because you know how he was digging around the mine to maybe, like, I don't know, give him a little bit more like leverage. Like if the mine's not buried and it's like kind of loose, maybe that would give him a little more of a chance. But still, the lady specifically says that mine has a range of X amount of miles. It would have killed him dead.
it would have, yeah, he had 98% kill rate. And the thing what it was like he was lucky, because Tomcat also, what he stole Tomcat. He set up all these mines, but he also set up one mine that they did not use. They did not show it going off. In
Yeah,
fact, it's probably still out there, and that was a claymore mine. He had a claymore, and he set up a claymore. And do you know what a claymore mine is?
yep, yep.
So, so a claymore mine, to those in the chat who may not know what a claymore does, it is a terrible, terrible mine. It is packed with steel ball bearings, and so when it explodes, you have all these ball bearings going forward, and it absolutely destroys everything in its path. Um, it's sort of like on Swordfish, the scene of Swordfish with John Travolta. Everybody had a explosive pack on them, and it had the Claymore mine effect.
Yeah,
When it blew up, it shot steel bearings everywhere. Um,
yeah. I
so,
know it
but
because of
they didn't
the
die.
Call of Duty games, you can set up claymores, and that, it's a trap for people that get killed by the shrapnel.
Yeah, Claymores are lethal,
Yeah.
absolutely lethal. Uh, let's say goodnight to Casey. Thank you
Good
for
night,
hanging out with
Casey.
us. Uh, so, and we see that Tomcat's pretty much the only guy left, and they're racing toward the border, and Wu Jing and Scott and Tomcat they're basically throwing everything at but the kitchen sink at each other as far as firepower goes. They shoot their rifles at each other, they shoot their guns at each other, and they're running to the border. Um, it's getting really, they can see the border, they can see the outline, and it gets really, it's exciting. They run out there, they shoot at each other point blank, but they're not able to hit each other, and
No, no,
so
they're both equally matched. The only advantage Scott Adkins has is that he's a little taller and buffer than Wu Ying, but their skills are evenly matched.
yes, they are. They definitely are, and it really unusual for this final fight is that they show Tomcat is actually a man of honor
Yeah,
because he should have won. He could have won. It was his win. It was his to win, and they showed that. They showed that. They show that when they have their final fight, Scott Atkins has the Gurkha knife, and then Wu Jing has that really wicked knife. I mean, when I saw the first time I saw these guys square up, I'm going like, man, there's just, I was really curious to see how they're going to have Scott Atkins match up because
yeah,
Wu Jing is the master of the blades. He'd be the last person you want to see with a blade in his hand. You just don't want that. Um, but Scott Atkins has a Gurkha knife, and then Wu Jing has a really much shorter knife. But holy shit, it looks absolutely wicked.
yeah.
So they had that final fight, and they're both wounded, they're both beaten up or whatnot.
Yeah, and Scott Atkins or Tomcats asking him like, why are you fighting for your
Right.
country? You're just a soldier. Whatever you do doesn't really count. I do this for the
For
money,
money.
for the glory and everything. So it also has that political thing that you have to fight for the honor of your country, not for your own well being and stuff.
Right, because back in the back, everybody had a patch on their shoulder. It said wolf pack,
Yeah,
and then after they got their ammunition and their live weaponry, they all took back. Every soldier took off that insignia, and they slapped on another one that says "I fight for China."
yeah,
So that's on every soldier after that. But the thing what it was is that they're fighting, and Scott Atkins is a bigger guy, and they show him he kicks Wu Jing in the head, he knocks him out. He basically, I mean, Wu Jing's on the ground and he gets pounded. Scott Atkins could have killed him like 40 times.
oh
He
yeah,
could have killed him, and the time between him hitting the ground and him standing up, he could have killed him like six ways to Sunday, all day Monday. But he didn't. And I thought that was really telling. It was really unusual for me to see that because I would have thought it would have been the other. I would have thought it would have been the other way because it would have showed that Wu Jing was the man of honor. Like I'm not going to hit an opponent when he's down. I
yeah,
want him up. I want him up and facing me when I beat him. And for them to do it for the other way around was really unusual. I was really surprised by that. That's probably the most surprising thing in this whole movie was when Tomcat did not kill him when he had a chance.
yeah. He had him dead to rights, but I
Yeah,
guess he enjoyed the fight. He was like, "This guy's gonna give me a beautiful death." Like that is the dream for every soldier back in Rome and a couple of modern times. They want the beautiful death, the perfect death, to meet up with an opponent that's their equal and see who's the best. Just to show who's the best.
uh, hey Rob, how are you? Glad you're here.
Ah,
Um,
Rob's in the
the thing with
house.
that, like, the thing with it was too, like they showed him being a mercenary and all that, and yet they show that honorable side. All Tomcat had to do once he knocked him down, all he had to do was just to get up and walk over the mountain, or walk over that hill, and he could have been on the other side, and
Yeah,
that would have been it. That would have been it. Um, the fact that they let him have as much, for his, the ending was so unusual for me. But they do fight, and then finally he gets them into a hold, and then Wu Jing, he comes up, comes up with his own move, with his blade, and he kills Tomcat.
oh yeah.
So yeah,
He
he
gets
kills
a
he
he
kills
gets a
him.
blade through the neck, and that looked gnarly.
That looked painful.
Yeah,
But now he's just about depleted. Um, and then just right on the corner, here they come. and here comes the force to come around, to come help him, including the Semetics. Hey, they say, they called him his name. Hey, Wu Jing, hang in there. We're coming to help you, buddy. And here comes his troops coming over to help him. And and the medic comes over there, and he's going to give him some sort of shot. And then at the last possible second, Wu Jing recognizes him.
Yeah,
He recognizes the scorpion on the hand, on the wrist, which is the gang sign. And he also recognizes him as the hostage that he saved in the beginning of the movie.
that's
The
right.
hostage that was supposed to be a hostage. He was supposed to be just an innocent bystander, yet he was not. He was not an innocent bystander. He was part of the gang, and his leader was using him as bait, Wu Jing sees that. He sees what he is. He says he knows who he is, and so right before he's going to get injected, he turns around and injects the gangster with what he was going to get, and of
Yeah.
course, nothing's good in that. So
No,
he,
no, and it's also revealed that it was kind of like a two-pronged thing because the mob boss wanted revenge, but he was also trying to get a drug that attacks certain genetic codes for China out of China so he could sell it. At
right.
least that's something that I got. Was like, so this was a part diversion, part revenge plot. Is get the
Dude,
Chinese government away so he could bolt with that designer virus or whatever weapon it was.
right. Wasn't that sort of spooky though when they were talking about doing that genetic weapon? And you think about this movie came out in 2015, and the pandemic came out in 2019. But here they were 4 years in advance, and they're basically saying a scenario that could have happened.
Oh
They
yeah,
were, yeah, they were working on their lab on this virus, and and they were doing, they're trying to defeat it because the virus was designed to kill just Chinese. If you're Chinese, you'll be more apt to die. Sort of
yeah,
like HIV with gay people, and pandemics. COVID with the elderly people and whatnot.
yeah, yeah,
Um, so he basically had that. He basically had that in this movie 4 years before, and it was really interesting when you hear that. That's what the gangster was. He was after a genetic weapon.
yeah,
So his men are going to the border, and there's a paramilitary force that the main bad guy has to help him. And so there's like 300 of them coming up the hill, and Wu Jing manages with the last of his strength. He gets up there, and they start shooting at him, and he grabs the gangster that he's killed, uses them as a shield, and then he fires back, and he kills a bunch of gangsters, and then he chases down the main bad guy right there on the border. I mean, on the border, and as he's facing off against 300 of them, all of a sudden you hear choppers coming, and the sky is filled with China. With the Chinese army has arrived. The people's army has arrived with helicopters, and they start landing hundreds of troops. And pretty soon, the mercenary, the paramilitaries, they see what's coming at them, and they go like, "Yeah, we're good.
yeah, yeah. We give up.
Yeah, we're
Although
good. Yeah,
honestly, again, from what I've heard, I've never been into one, and Lord help me, I don't want to be in one. But I've heard that Chinese prisons are not fun places to go
Ooh,
to. I
I've
would I
heard
would
that too.
I would rather have gone in a blaze of glory and getting killed than to be locked up in one of those prisons.
Yeah, yeah. And it's funny too. The bad guy, he's laying on his face, and he knows he's cooked, and he goes in and he lights up his last of his cigar. It's his last time. He knows it's his last one he's going to ever get. He knows he's doomed after that.
Oh yeah,
And then
again, cold as ice, and again, I can't remember him saying that much in the whole movie. So hopefully
um,
they didn't pay him by the word because he wouldn't have gotten that much money.
he so the movie ends basically with he goes back to his troop. He connects with his commanding officer, and they do meet up, and drive out together, and yeah. This is such a fun movie. This is quite honestly, this is just absolutely blast of a movie. Um, I was glad to see that they had Scott Adkins in it. They had Chris Collins in it. Chris Collins also appeared with Scott Adkins in Ip Man.
Yeah, yeah,
Chris Collins is a badass. I think they called him what do they call him? I think Prater. I think in Ip Man or something like that. That guy's a badass.
yeah. That's
Uh,
those are really good people, and again, that's something that I feel is lacking in today's movies because. Back in the '80s, we again had Stallones, we had Schwarzeneggers, we had Willis, we had Van Damme's, we had Cynthia Rothrock, we had all these action stars, and nowadays, who do we really have? The Rock? Is that really the only guy we have? That's kind of sad.
Yeah, it is true. That's the other thing too, is that it does seem to be a lack of young martial arts fighters. There's like a lot of the actors that we're watching and talking about now, they're in their 30s, late 30s, 40s, some 50s. I think Wu Jing's in his 40s. Scott Atkins is in his 40s. Ray Park's in his 50s. Michael J. White, I think, in his 50s. There's not really a lot of a young blood coming up from behind. There's not any. Before studios would actually develop a martial arts. They would develop martial arts stars, but you don't see that anymore. You don't see
No,
that. It's like it's almost like the genre has just been forgotten about, and it's like it's funny, but yet at the same time it's still vital. I mean, it's still important over in Europe. I mean, over in Southeast Asia, they love the martial arts movies, but over here, we just don't. We don't get it anymore. There's
no,
nobody. There's nobody. There's nobody up and young. There's no up and comers. And as far as
no.
women go, I mean, there's no. I can't. I. I'm thinking about. I'm trying to think of a woman action star on the same level as the Cynthia Rothrock or Michelle Yao. I think the only one to maybe come close to that might be Charlize Theron, but that's really really scripted.
Yeah,
That's you don't really think of her as a action star. I mean,
yeah.
she's done action, but it's not how I think of Charlize Theron. You know. Let's see. Yeah, we have Brendan Fraser back. Yeah, and Sean's here. Sean's back. Echo's here.
Hey, Sean.
Our Lord. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, let's. I mean, who right now? I mean, as far as the American goes, who do we have in a martial arts scene? I mean, who do we have that's vital?
No
I
one.
really can't think of anybody.
I mean, the only guy that we action star that we had in the 2000s was Jason Statham, but he's not as active as he used to be. I mean, he did
No,
the Meg, and that was okay, but modern Martin, like from the 2010s forward, I can't think of anyone.
me either.
I mean, for a
Uh,
while, I know they tried to push this UFC chick, Ronda Rousey. She was in one of the Fast and the Furious movies, and I saw her in another. She was in the Expendables. That's the other one.
yeah.
So I think they were trying to push her, but she doesn't have the chops to be an action star, in my opinion.
I think Gina Carano. I think she would have been interesting. I mean, as far as that goes, if she would have been developed, she would have been developed. Olga Kurylenko was awesome. I love Olga Kurylenko. She's
Have
she's
you
a
seen the movie called Haywire?
yes,
Who's
yes.
the
I
main
actually
star in
like.
that one?
I actually like that.
Who's the main actress in that one?
Gina Carano.
Oh, okay, yeah. So yeah, her. But then
Yeah,
she got into trouble with Disney, and now she's blacklisted. I think.
yeah. She's doing all those right wing shit now. She's doing all those America movies. But that's what she wanted. So I guess I don't know. I would have been fine if she would have just been, if she could have just did her movies. What,
When
but some of the
when
things,
they
she said, she definitely went way beyond driven as far as her commentaries go, and Disney's not
Yeah.
really like that. So I understand them saying, they didn't cancel her. She canceled. She opened her fat mouth. She showed her colors, and
When
that's how it is.
when
If
they
you talk
announced they were going to
people,
do a live action Wonder Woman, she's the one that I thought would be perfect as Wonder Woman.
at least or at least Titania. She could have been a great Titania. She could have been a
Yeah.
great She-Hulk. She could have been a great
Yes.
She-Hulk.
Yes.
But that's I'm trying to think. That's what's that girl's name who does that? Tatiana Maslany. But she's not really a martial artist either. She's not really a martial artist. She's a fighter, but she's not necessarily a martial artist.
No.
There's really nobody I can think of. I really don't think there's anything on the Western side of things where they developed a young core of martial art movies. It's just not being thought about it anymore.
No.
Uh, so that's a real shame because there's a lot of good movies that have been released, um, including a pair of movies that we thought we are going to be covering this month, but we're going to wait and we're going to hold off on it, and that is The Raid and the Raid Redemption.
Oh, those are amazing movies. And Dread with Carl Urban gets a lot of flack because they say it's a ripoff of The Raid, but those two movies were filmed at really close, so there's no way that Dread was ripping off The Raid.
There's no, you know what? I saw Dread. Dread is like a shadow of The Raid, a
Yeah,
shadow. They don't even come close to what The Raid is. Not even close. The
but
Raid
it's
is the
still a
most
great
one of
movie.
the
I
most.
freaking loved Dread. I thought it was amazing.
Well, Dread is cool for an action film, right? But as far as a martial arts film, a
Oh yeah,
fighting
no,
film, oh, there's no comparison. The Raid
no,
is
no,
just
no,
like
no, no.
here's Dread, and here's the Raid.
Oh
It's just
yeah,
like it in that context.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
I like Dread. I was a big fan of the comic book growing up, and I like Carl Urban as Dread and everything else. But man, when it comes down to the straight out fighting, the Raid is just all that in a cup of coffee.
hell yeah.
Um, so we got some. I don't know what's going to happen to American martial arts movies. Look with Cynthia Rothrock. She's you know, her old crew, all the action stars of the '90s and late '80s and whatnot. They're making a western. They're making a western.
Huh.
And I mean, you think that, well, yeah, but what about Cobra Kai? Okay, I don't really see anybody from the cast of that movie being groomed or being, maybe Bobo Stewart. Maybe him. I know Ernie Reyes. I know way back when he was being considered too, but he got sick when he was younger.
Yeah,
Much so, he would have been a badass. He would have been perfect for martial arts, for a career, a
yeah,
highlighted career. But he got sick.
definitely.
Um, I just don't think there's anything out there right now at this time. I
No,
don't see
no,
any. I don't see.
it really does look really bleak for action movies and martial arts movies. Because again, I top of my head, I can't think of anyone that would pop at the same levels as back in the '80s, or again even a Jason Statham or The Rock. But I don't know. I hope someone comes along and gets this thing going because I would really it would really be a crime to cinema to lose this type of action movie or martial art genre.
Sean mentions he's not big on the martial arts and most action nowadays, but the Raid movies might have been the most intense action I've seen in a while. Yeah, those guys are Yeah, those guys are just absolutely nuts.
Yeah,
Um, let's see. Sean mentions Imagine Train to Busan with martial arts in it. Yeah, or The Hunted with Christopher Lambert. That was also a great martial arts movie set in a bullet train. Um, so well, we're gonna, you know what? We're gonna, we got some movies planned for the rest of the month. We're gonna be doing Fahrenheit 451 next week. We're gonna do Fahrenheit 451 next week, and then we're gonna do Killzone 2 on the 30th.
yeah,
Another Wu Jing movie. That's the thing about this is that this is one good thing I love about Asian martial arts movies. You can sit there and say, "Yeah, we're gonna go watch Killzone 2." And going, what about the first Killzone? Doesn't matter. Totally different movie. The only
Yeah,
thing they have in common is a name. That's the only thing they got.
yeah.
In the
I've
first Killzone, yeah,
come across a lot of Asian movies that just bank on the name but have nothing to do with the first one.
right. Uh, in the first movie, Wu Jing is the bad guy. He's the bad guy in the first movie. He's Samuel Hung's right hand man. In the Killzone 2, he's the hero.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's what you need to know. We will be covering Wolf Warrior 2. Wolf Warrior 2 set all sorts of records. The most successful Chinese made movie up until last year. It made the most money. It made almost $900 million in China alone. Nine
Uh,
hundred million. That's
well,
that's more than
I haven't seen the second one, but if it's as action packed as the first one, it's gonna be a fun time.
I can't wait to get into it. I can't wait. I got to dig my copy up because I did get a copy of it. I actually have a copy of Wolf Warrior too. I just, I saw it. It was on Tubi, so I watched it on Tubi.
Yeah.
But I do have Wolf Warrior 2, and I'll break that out and when we're ready for it.
And
Well,
both
yeah.
of these movies are also on YouTube. I found an English dub and I found a Spanish dub, so there's for whatever flavors you want. The image quality on YouTube's not that good. It's better on Tubi for sure, but it's also on
Um,
YouTube if someone wants to check it out there.
let's see. You know what else? An underrated movie, but not really martial arts. The Good, the Bad, and the Weird. South Korean movie that went over everybody's head. It seems.
Huh?
Um, haven't
I don't know
heard
about
that one.
that one.
Uh, I did see Ninja Badass, and I think I made it through like 5 minutes of it before I frisbeed it. That was absolutely that was horrible. So horrible. Uh, there was martial arts and Chinese speaking vampires, but that's more like a parody.
Yeah.
Nothing there I could really recommend. Um, fun movie, but no, not a martial arts movie.
Yeah.
Uh, So, Professor, what's going on with your channel, real quick for this week? What do you got going on?
Well, I've been out. Unfortunately, I've been out of the loop in the community because of reasons. But I'll be back and I'll be participating more and catching up on all of the awesome videos that our fellow content creators have made. And Action April is still a thing. I still got to post a couple of videos for Action April. I just posted a DVD haul and I went back to the flea market that I went last
Um,
week, this Friday. And I got some more movies to talk about. So I got to sit down and record those.
did you find any ISC movies?
No IFC, but I did find those old out of print MGM midnight movie releases. I'm always on the lookout for those because those are awesome.
Mean like the 8 movies you die for, those types?
No, it's the MGM on the. It has a blue label that says midnight movie releases, and they
Oh,
release
right. Yeah, I got one of those. I got 10 to Midnight with Charles Bronson.
yeah, and they got they really. I'm still looking for Killer Clowns from Outer Space, the midnight release, because I really like the cover to that one. And they have a whole bunch of Vincent Price movies. They have a lot of weird sci-fi. So I'm always on the lookout to get those MGM releases.
Yeah, I might have found a place. Might have found a place that might have directed by Kim Ji Woon. I'll have to take a look at that, Sean, for sure. The good, the
Yeah,
bad, the bad and the weird. Um, yeah, I'm gonna have to take. I found somebody found me on Instagram and sent me started following me, so I just take a look at their page, and they have an eBay store, and I pinged them last night and going like, do you have any ISC movies? And they have one. I have to double check, make sure I don't have it, but I might be buying one. I have not gotten an IFC movie in forever.
no, I think I
I
only
think
have
I've
like
got,
four. I haven't
I
been
think
able to
I've
find IFCs.
I think I've gotten like 6 or 7 A24s in between the last time I've gotten an ISC movie. It's totally frustrating for me
Yeah,
uh, because there's so many they drop so many great movies, and yet I've never seen them at the library. They've never been dropped at the library. I'm like, well, so I think honestly, I think it's going to be this Tuesday. I think I'm going to go over there and ask, are you guys not buying these anymore? Because there are a lot of people that really would like to see your ISC movies if you get them.
Yeah, I wish I could find them, but I can't find them on the wild. And as I think we've established before, I'm a frugal collector. I can't splurge on no boutique
No, I
releases.
can't either. I can't
So
either.
I,
The guy showed me the one on his eBay, and I'm like, okay, I have to go in and take a look at it, to see it. But I'm sure he's charging me, it's going to charge me $6, $7, $8 plus, $3, $4 shipping. And I just can't do it.
yeah,
If he, that's eBay. If he was doing Amazon, I might be able to get him the bundle. But with eBay, I don't think that will happen.
my
Uh,
my limit for something in the wild is $5. That I can't go over $5. I just can't
$5
afford it.
that's about my poison too. When I go to Hamilton Book, that's my poison is $5. If
Yeah,
if it's not in the $5 range, I'm not getting it.
yeah,
Uh,
same.
yeah, that's just how it is. I'm money's tight, so
Oh yeah,
that's why I like the library, so I can get things for a quarter a piece.
yeah. Or
So
that flea market. I got except the Ilsa box sets and those Troma ones. Everything else I got for $1.50.
man,
The Ilsa ones were $5, and the Troma ones were $5, as well as the Friday the 13th seasons that I got were $5. Everything else $1.50 because they were
see.
they were one disc.
Let's see. Sean mentions the MGM Midnight Movies double features. They're way cool, but 90 of them are double-sided discs that are impossible to take care of. But they're definitely worth it for a cheap price. Yeah,
Yeah,
I paid a dime for mine for the 10 to midnight with Charles Bronson. I got that for 10 cents.
yeah. I've also been looking for the midnight movie release of the Vampire Lovers. They have that double feature movie with the sequel, and that's a movie I've been hunting for years. The Vampire Lovers.
Kevin mentions times are tough and Dollar Tree have raised their prices by 25%. That's true. That's why honestly, that's why I went over and took a brief look at Dollar Tree when they were doing their 2-for-1 deal. I didn't see anything movie in there, even at 50 cents. I didn't see anything in there that I really, really wanted or needed, And I went and I looked and I didn't see anything at all. And I just walked out. I said, you know what? I'll just
Yeah,
sit here. I'm just going to sit here and wait and find something better at the library.
same here. I also hit $2 trees because in our last stream together, we did mention that we're doing the 2-for-1 sale, and I went, but they only had Christmas movies that I already own, so I left empty-handed.
Um, I've heard two different rumors about that now, and I've heard that one. I heard that there's this 2-for-1 that once they clear the movies off, that Dollar Tree is not going to be selling movies again. And then I
Oh, I
heard the
hope
other
not.
the other side. The other side was they're just trying to get rid of all their old stock, and once they're able to do that, then they're going to bring in fresh movies. I
Oh,
tempted
I
to
hope
believe that
so.
I think they're going to bring in fresh movies. They made a lot of money off those movies. It's
Oh
just
yeah,
not, people are not buying that. They're not buying the dreck. It's like they're buying the good stuff. You get good movies in there, people are going to come in and they're going to be buying them up, no problem. But the movies you got now is almost the point now where you just have to. It's almost like you just have to just swallow your loss and get them out of there.
yeah. Because I went
Donate.
to one of the Dollar Trees I went. They had like, I kid you not, they had 12 copies because I counted 12 copies of Christmas with a capital C. And again, I already have that movie, so I don't want to buy that movie again.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that they'll come back and get rid of the dreck. There's still a couple of people out there who I track, I follow, and they always let me know when they let the people follow know whenever there's new product coming in, new waves coming in. So that's how I always know. But
Yeah,
right now, I think they're just trying to get rid of the old stuff, and it's almost to the point where you sit there and say, you really want to get rid of it, you should do $4 that if you did $4 I think you would blow it out. You would blow
yeah,
everything. People will just come in there. Even 2-for-1 is a little expensive, But if you went for $1, you blow it out, and then you have your shelves back.
Yeah. Because
Um,
if Dollar Tree no longer sells movies, the only option I would have would probably be hitting the Goodwills or Big Lots. I don't know if you have Big Lots where you're at, but Big Lots sometimes surprisingly has a really good selection.
yeah. Um, I was gonna say, and the oh man, Goodwill. Oh, the prices are so high. They're so high. Um, yeah, it's tough. It's tough. I mean, even the movies on the online are more expensive than they used to be. You know, from the private, the Amazon and eBay, they used to be pretty reasonably cheap. Now everybody, it's like they realize that movies are starting to become more and more rare. And so now they're starting to hold on to them.
Yeah.
Starting to raise prices a little bit, and so that affects us all.
Yeah, I saw that
Um,
same thing happen. I saw when VHS was making a resurgence. A lot of people were interested in VHS, and all of those VHSs that you would find for a nickel or a dime started. People were starting to ask $50 or $60 for them, and it got crazy.
Yeah, we used to get free. The library used to give their VHS tapes away. I'm not sure what they're doing with them now, but I don't see them there anymore. I'm sure
Hopefully, they
people
don't
still
throw them to
donate.
the trash.
No, I'm sure they donate. I'm sure they're keeping them.
Okay.
All right. For the name of the channel, real quick. We only had 3 shows this week. Do we have only three? I think we only have three. Yeah, we got Tuesday, we have paranormal investigator Joseph Grimm will be with us on Tuesday the 18th. On Wednesday, we have author Jordan S. Keller will be here with us at 8 p.m. And then on the 20th, we have film director Donald Farmer, who I'll be talking with tomorrow to set up Thursday. And he'll be here. He'll be here on the 20th, and I will be co-hosting the show with my good friend Brett Kelly, the Weezy Shark. So yeah, that'll be what's happening with us. Um, in
Your
about
success
30
rate
minutes.
on April has been a little better than March. March hit you really bad with the rescheduling, but I think April's been going pretty well for you.
Yeah, actually, I think I have actually held on to everybody.
Yeah,
Well, I held on to everybody. Yep, yep. I'm looking at the
that's
calendar now. I have not had a single cancellation so far.
that's
Knock
great.
on wood. And of course, I'm still booking next month. Next month is really hard, but I'll get it done. It's gonna be a lot of fun, and yeah. All right, boys and girls, in about a half hour or so, you guys can all head on over to Gory B Movies channel. About 10:30 Eastern time, she'll be covering the Evil Dead 2. Evil Dead Rises comes out this week.
I'm excited.
Comes
I'm
out.
excited for that one.
I am excited for that too. I have a new voting on my community tab for Dollar Tree Theater. You guys can go over there and vote on the movies I put up there. I made it sort of hard for you guys this week. I made it hard. You guys, I put up some shit for you guys. You guys get to go on over there and check out what I put up and see who's gonna win.
I
Uh,
already voted. I voted for Bubba Hotep.
let's see. Echo had his bank card got locked up. Yeah, I've had that happen to me
That
too, Echo.
that happened to me at Carl's Jr. of all places. They double charged me, and when they tried to do the refund, the bank saw that something fishy was going on, and they locked my card. So same thing happened to me.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Huh?
Uh, Sean's just mentioning that he's got the winner of the first part of his contest drawing is on his channel, and he's got part 2 entry video. I got to do a video tonight too for Horror with Haas. Horror with Haas is having a contest too. I should have put the link down there. Damn it! I'll do that tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. All right, boys and girls, that is it for us. We will see you next week. We'll be joined by the professor and Katie from Popping the Popcorn, and we will be covering Fahrenheit 451. That's right, on Action April. And
Yeah.
then yeah,
Do
I'm
you
looking
do
for.
you know if Katie has the book? Because again, I didn't know it was based on a book until I saw it at a flea market, but I didn't buy it.
I think I don't know which one she has. I gotta check the Tubi and see. I'm gonna probably rent mine from the library.
Well,
Um,
I got the movie, but again, I found
do
out
you
it's
have
based
do
on
you
a
have the
book,
original one?
and I'm
Do you
like,
have the original one or you have the remake?
no, I have the OG one in the flipper case.
Okay, nice. That's right. That's right. All right, boys and girls. We'll talk to you. We'll talk to you on Tuesday.
Yep.
Peace. Hold
Peace.
on, Professor.
I'm a holding.